Okay, let's try this again, guys. So this is the second time recording because I completely botched the previous one. So I should be warmed up. That was a practice one. So today's topic is we are going to talk about what is salvation and what the Christian doctrine of salvation is. And in particular, there's this phrase in modern evangelical Protestantism that really strikes the heart in me for some reason, and that is once saved, always saved doctrine. And it's a bit ironic that it's in the Protestant space because Martin Luther himself did not believe in a once saved, always saved, transactional kind of salvation. And we'll get into the reasons why in a second. So stay tuned. So we're going to do Martin Luther's perspective. Here we have sermon on 2 Peter. He goes into saying that it is indeed true that once a person has received grace, he can fall and be lost. Even though he stands, he must consistently fear and pray that he remains standing. Again, the commentary in 2 Peter 2:22, he says that through baptisms, these people threw out unbelief, and their unclean way of life washed away and entered into a pure life of faith and love. Now they fall away into unbelief and their own works, and they soil themselves again with filth. So we see that it is indeed possible that people will fall away into unbelief and become dirty. Commentary in Galatians, to fall from grace means to lose the atonement and forgiveness of sins and righteousness, liberty, and life with which Jesus has merited for us by his death and resurrection. Table talk number 5082. I have never had so many table talks, 5082 of them. I haven't even had 82. So a person may fall from faith and grace. He may return again. If he does, he is restored. That's good news. So therefore, Luther held a view that one can fall from grace. So if you're going to call yourself a Protestant, you first need to select which of the 30,000 different denominations you think is the truest. And if you're going to say that Protestantism is true, then you should probably hold a view very close to Luther as possible. But as you'll see as we go on, I myself, I do not identify as a Protestant. I self-identify as something else. And that's a surprise. You have to continue watching to know stay till the end, you'll find out. So Jesus' perspective on the matter. This is way more important than Luther's, by the way. So this is this is not an order of importance. This is an order of where the knowledge comes from first. And Protestantism is the source of that heresy. So Matthew 24:12-13, because lawlessness will abound, the love of many will grow cold, and he who endures to the end shall be saved. So those of us who endure to the end will be saved, not those of us who prayed the magic prayer and was baptized and sang songs in church will be saved, but those who endure to the end. Okay, Luke 18:13, they believe for a while, but in time of testing they fall away. Yeah, so again, you can fall away. Every branch in me that does not bear fruit, he takes away. If anyone does not abide in me, he is thrown away like a branch that withers. So the important part here is every branch in me that does not bear fruit, he takes away. Bear fruit, that's the call. Matthew 21-23, this is a good one. Not everyone who says to me, Lord, Lord, shall enter the kingdom of heaven. Then I will declare to them, I never knew you. Depart from me, you who practice lawlessness. And this is interesting for a couple of reasons. One, it demonstrates that you can indeed lose your salvation. Okay, and two, if you read closely, it says, I never knew you. Depart from me, you who practice, who do things, you have works that are lawless. So through works, you can lose your salvation. That's going to be important later on. In Matthew 13:20, he has no root in himself, but endures for a while, and then tribulation and persecution arises, he falls away. This is very similar to Luke 18:13. So he who overcomes, I will not blot out his name of the book of life. So this is quite explicit, right? He who overcomes, I will not blot out his name out of the book of life. Revelation 3:5. So there is a book of life. Your name may or may not be in it, and it is possible that it is blotted out. There is no debate here. And let's look at James' perspective. James 2:17, faith without works is dead. Bingo. James 1:27, religion that is pure and undefiled before God the Father is this, to visit orphans and widows in their affliction, and keep oneself unstained from the world. James 2:18, but someone will say, you have faith and I have works. Show me your faith apart from your works, and I will show you my faith by my works. James 2:19, you believe that God is one, you do well. Even the demons believe and shudder. James 2:20, do you want to be shown, you foolish person, that faith apart from works is useless? James 2:21, was not Abraham our father justified by works when he offered up his son Isaac on the altar? So here's the takeaway. Even the devil believes in God. So this is a bit of a challenge, this slide. I'm not going to read every one, but basically Paul is in blue. This is most of your Protestant doctrine that comes out of Paul, the Pauline works. And James provides an interesting contrast to each declaration of, for doing works and not doing works. And what we'll find out is that Paul, if you read closely, he doesn't say works in general. He's referring to a specific kind of works, that is the works of the law. And we're going to get into it on this slide. You see, Paul's definition of the law is this. You see, the audience was a Jewish audience. Paul uses the phrase works of the law to refer especially or specifically to the Jewish law, especially rituals, circumcision, dietary rules, and Sabbath regulations that marked ethnic identity under the Old Covenant. So this is the law that Paul was talking about. It's not by the execution of these particular tasks that you achieve salvation. That's what Paul is talking about. And Paul was a Pharisee. He goes on to say that he is circumcised on the 8th day of the people of Israel in the tribe of Benjamin, a Hebrew of Hebrews in regard to the law, a Pharisee. As for zeal, persecuting the church, as for righteousness based on the law, faultless. So he was an exceptionally good Jew. So once saved, always saved. Nobody says that. No one in the apostolic tradition says that. No one in Eastern Orthodoxy says that. No one ever in Catholicism said that. Not even Luther himself, the father of Protestantism, said that. So here's a simplified process flow of how you believe something. Right? You hear a proposition, you discover some biblical evidence, right? You create some kind of hypothesis, and then you validate that hypothesis with what the church has been saying for 2,000 years. I know this is going to be painful for a lot of you, but the church is the schema of the Bible. Okay? The Bible didn't have some kind of index or how to perform exegesis. And it has no glossary of definitions. The Bible didn't exist for a couple hundred years during the church, during the early church. So the church, through apostolic tradition, provides a schema for how you understand the Bible. So here are the risks of this heresy. It encourages moral compliancy. So if you believe that you are saved once and always saved, then you can say, I'm already saved, so my actions no longer affect my standing with God. That's a bad thing. It deforms the meaning of faith, okay, turns faith into a one-time decision rather than a lifelong relationship of obedience and love, which is why, if you go back to what Jesus said a few slides back, not all who say, Lord, Lord, will enter the kingdom of heaven. He wants a relationship, right? Contradicts the teachings of Jesus, and here we go. The one who endures to the end will be saved. Okay? Every branch that does not bear fruit is thrown away. Many will say, Lord, Lord, and I will say, I never knew you. Yeah. Undermines church discipline. Makes it difficult to call people to repentance if they believe their salvation is unchangeable. And in this position also minimizes free will. See, it suggests salvation is locked in regardless of human cooperation or rebellion. Neglects apostolic warnings. So even Paul says that he says, I discipline my body, lest after preaching to others, I find myself be disqualified. So that's it. That's the message. So continue to work your faith. Continue in prayer. I'll see you later.